Everybody joining us now on NotFest Daily is Katie Davies from Pupil Slicer. Katie, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Your debut record, Mirrors, came out earlier this year in March. It's a hell of a listen, fantastic album. I know it's been grabbing a bunch of traction, and you all have now released the closing song, Collective Unconscious, as a single. I know that this was the last song that y'all recorded, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe also the last song that was written for the album as well. I'm curious because it is just such a perfect closer for the album. Just the emotions that it conjures and the feelings of the music and everything like that. I'm curious how the song came together in the writing process and how that may have been different than some of the other ones that you previously wrote for the album.
Yeah, I think it definitely was more of a holistic thing of I had riffs. I mean a lot of the stuff is I have riffs and then I go to Josh. But when we were writing the album, we'd always sort of be doing jamming on the side and just playing because we're big fans of post rock and post black metal and math rock and all sorts of things outside the core side of stuff. And we were just jamming along, and like I had these riffs, and they sounded cool. And we weren't sure for a while if it was going to make the cut of the album. We had the other 11 songs like pretty much done, but then we just kept working on it, and then we were like, no, there's definitely something here. So I pieced together the song out of recordings of us jamming. We had like a 20-minute recording of jamming various parts. I cut that down into sections and made the final song out of it, and then uh, just like tried to write some really emotional lyrics to it, which ended up being my favorite lyrics on the album. So um, yeah, I was really happy with how it came out. It's probably my favorite song, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'll echo you that. I mean, it's my favorite song on the album as well. I mean, there are a lot to choose from, right? And there are a lot of standout tracks on there. Panic Defense is one of them. Wounds Upon My Skin, Husk. I think Husk may have been the first song that I heard, and that was just like claws in. Like, okay, I need to hear more of this. But like, so I wanted to get into that because you mentioned, you the emotional lyrics and everything like that for the song. The song is about coming to terms with you being a trans woman and the way that society unfairly views and treats trans people and just people of different minorities and marginalized communities anyway. And you yourself have been pretty open in interviews in the past about being, bullied and those types of things. So I'm curious how you approach writing lyrics of such an intense personal nature, especially because you've also said how they're also a little bit hyperbolic as well and over the top because it is mathcore and everything like that, but they are still really personal at the core of those. So how do you approach writing lyrics like that?
To be honest, I don't know. It's really different on each song, and this album was the first time I was writing lyrics, so it was sort of because all the previous stuff had been our old vocalist writing stuff uh, lyrically, and they were all just silly sort of carcassy gore grind lyrics. Um, and Yeah, it's weird. With this one, I think I started with the song title and then the concept of what I wanted it to be about. Uh, and it was really just like trying to find phrases that captured the idea I was going for, and then finding where they'd place well in the songs. And a lot of it, I come from just like a rhythmic standpoint first, like what sort of rhythm do I want here to accent the rest of the song, and then filling in words after, or like change stuff around to match. And yeah, I think I want it all to serve the music at the same time as serving emotionally the songs. I mean, a lot of people won't read the lyrics, but then if you do read the lyrics, they also try to write them vague enough that people can find their own meaning in. So I don't want it to just be about one thing. A lot of my favorite songs are songs where I probably attached meaning to the lyrics that weren't the writer's intent at all, but that's why they mean so much to me. So I think I try and write it for people to have that ability.
Yeah, and I think just I've heard plenty of musicians say that, right? When they write lyrics, like if anybody like this means one thing to me, but it could mean something else to somebody else. And think that's where great art comes in. But you know, you mentioned about how you know people might not listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics or anything like that. In this song, as important as like emotional as the lyrics are, I honestly almost feel like they don't need to, because if you listen to the emotion in the lyrics and in the song and in the guitar writing, you can tell that okay, there is something there that is evoking, you know, pain or struggle or something, right, in the music, and then that you get that turn of phrase once you go and look at that. Was that intentional, or is that just kind of how the song, I
No,
guess,
yeah,
like
I
did
think it
itself?
was. I think it did end up with the most emotionally charged lyrics on the album. That ended up with the most emotionally charged performance on the album because of it. Like I think from like after the 1 minute mark or something, the rest of the songs just the first take I did in the studio,
Wow.
because we did it, and while it wasn't perfect, we were like, well, that's the one though. That's the one that had all the emotion that I. Because a lot of the album was, given how technical it is, it was like, let's record two, like 2 bars, so like 8 seconds of vocals, and then do another take because you have to go hard and it's so technical and you have to keep it in time. But with this one, because it is like the only song on the album that's all in 4/4, uh, it sort of allowed a bit more breathing room to be a bit more, waving in and out and just making sure stuff lined up on the important beats, but allowing for more emotion in between and more, oh yes, humanity to come through in it and this technicality. Because this song's a lot less rage and ferocity that there is on a lot of other songs. And this is more melancholia and, you know, pain, like emotional pain, as opposed to rage, I guess.
No, yeah, and
There's pain in the other songs, but yeah.
Yeah, and but like it's a different kind, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why. I
Yeah.
mean, just about everyone that I've talked to, like friends of mine that dig this album, this is one of the songs that always comes up when we're talking, and I think that's because of how dynamic it is from the rest of the album. Where a lot of the rest of the album, you know, it's like throwing a brick in an industrial dryer and putting it to like high speed or whatever, right? And then you get to this one, and it's, you know, a little bit more melodic and a little bit more subdued, but like not really, right? Because we're still talking about like a wild song that has, you know, almost 6.5 minutes long that just it doesn't feel like it. So when you're saying that you did most of that in one take, one of the things that I was curious about is that tortured scream at the end. Was that improvised then?
Yeah, that was just me like crying at the end of the take. I was like, yeah, it was all just like, caught up in the moment.
Yeah,
But it
and
was cool. And we're like, yeah, leave that in.
yeah, and I mean, for those who may or may not have heard the song that are watching, I mean, the end of the song, the lyrics are "Long for the time where no one had to die. I remembered a time when no one had to cry," and then there you are, basically crying at the end of the album, which I thought also "Martyrs" starts off kind of a similar way, where there's like a similar tortured scream with that, and I thought that that was a nice way to bookend the album, whether intentional or not, to just like end with that, like, you know, that's like we mentioned before, you know that the emotion was raw and real just by listening to the music, and then you hear that to close out the album, you're just, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I did that. It wasn't intentional with that mirroring the thing in Masters, but then afterwards, I was like, that's pretty cool. But there are definitely actually quite a lot of motifs, rhythmic motifs throughout the album, and because I thought back to like Car Bomb's album. No idea, the one that's like W up W W up W. Um, that title of the album was the rhythmic motif they carried throughout the album
Mm.
on loads of different songs, and I took that idea and was like, well, what if I like inserted repeated rhythmic motifs throughout loads of songs? So there's a lot of stuff where I try and tie it together because as the songs can be quite wild and like go in different directions, I want some recognizably core thing to tie it all together as one piece. Like I think when we do a second album, it won't be Mirrors 2, it'll be its own thing. Like Mirrors will be all these songs sound like they're from this album, and then set a similar thing going forward. So um, yeah, but it's a cool bookend with Screaming. I don't
Yeah.
know how relevant that is.
No, I
Going
definitely
off on a
thought so.
tangent.
You're just one of those things. As a music fan, you just find those little things that you can like latch onto or think are really
Yeah,
cool. It's like I don't know whether they did that intentionally or not, but it's still fucking cool. So you mentioned new music, and I wanted to ask you about that real quick because in previous chats that we've had and other interviews, I know that y'all have been demoing stuff and you're getting ready to start maybe putting some things down to figure out where you guys are going for the next album. Is there anything that you can preview with us? Because I know like with this song being the last one that y'all written is are we to see more of the kind of style that you were veering into in Collective Unconscious, or are you just like fuck it, we're just doing whatever it is that we want to do?
I think both at the same time. I think Mirrors, while experimental, like we were trying to keep more of a core sound, and now we've had the response that people like Mirrors so much, and then they like the experimentation so much. I think that does sort of unshackle us from being. It means we can sort of be like, cool, let's do a song that's like mostly clean vocals. Let's do a song that's like another post rock song and like more of that stuff. Let's do a shoegaze song. That's we're sort of like throwing things out there and seeing what sticks, and then filtering down to the best out of all the ideas we get. So yeah, we're I think because I do want to take my time. I spent a lot of time writing this first album. I want to take my time, like refining what we've got for the second album. So that probably won't be for quite a while. But to make up for that, we pulled a track off what was going to be on the second album. I think we're going to record that and release that sometime next year. So that will be cool and sort of hopefully people will like it. It's hard to view your own stuff and compare it because I'm like listening to it being like, oh, have we gone soft because it's got like a chorus that comes back 3 times, which is not something we've done before.
Right.
And then but then I showed it a demo to a friend, and he was like, "That's like that goes the hardest out of anything you've written."
Amazing. Yeah, and I'm sure like after you with the
I think there'll be stuff for everyone on it because like I want to dial the mathy parts up to 11 past where they are. I don't know where they're at the moment, like 10.9. Just bring them up a little bit more, but then do that in every other direction. So the weird experimental stuff and the post rocky like crescendo core stuff, like more of that, more of everything. Just more dynamics as well. More. Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly.
That's just Pupil Slicer's philosophy, more. That's it. And we'll spell it MOAR, so in all capital letters.
Yeah, I'll call album 2 More Slicer.
One pupil is not getting sliced is not enough, Katie. We need more people sliced.
Yeah.
So that amazing. That now something to look forward to already for 2022. So that being said, I know y'all are getting ready to hit the road here in a couple of months with Rolo Tomassi, who I know you all have name dropped as one of your favorite bands for good reason. So why don't you tell me a little bit of what it means to you to go on the road with a band like that, and other than just getting to see them play every night and play on stage with them, what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, aside from seeing them every night, so I mean that will be a treat.
Right.
It's seeing people who like our album. Like we've played a lot of the album. Like we've played like 8 out of the 12 songs live before, and have been for like 3 years or like 2 years prior to the pandemic. And it was really interesting because we were in a situation where everyone was like, "Oh, that's fantastic live. It's like nothing you have released. Can we buy music?" And it's like, no, you can't listen to this unless you come and see us live. And now it's in a weird situation where people will have heard it. Like we've never had people like knowing our songs before they see us. So that's definitely gonna be weird. Like, and for comparison, like our last gig in London was 50 people in like a base, and then the next one's Oval Space, which is like 1,200 capacity, and will undoubtedly be sold out because Rolo tours always sell
Yeah,
out. So
yeah.
it's a bit of a step up, but we're trying to step up to meet that as well. We brought in a second guitarist to try and, because there's a lot of like guitar parts on the album where there's like harmonized stuff. So we brought a second guitarist in for that. We're going to be getting a lighting guy to like play lights, like the Meshuggah guy. If you see in the
Oh,
videos,
hell
he's like
yeah, hell
learning our
yeah.
songs and going to play it. I think he does the lights of Frontier as well. So if you've seen them, like they got a pretty good lighting setup. Uh, and yeah, it's just gonna be really cool to meet people, like meet fans, talk about, and like people will want to talk to me about our stuff probably, but I'll just be like, oh, let's talk about other mathcore. I love mathcore. Like it's just passionate. Like we're music fans. We're not like we do get people like messaging us being like, oh, this is amazing and stuff. And it's like, yeah, we're just like people who like this music. We made this because we thought it sounded cool to us. So yeah, it'd be cool to meet like-minded people who are also like, this sounds cool to me as well.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
And
just
new fans as well. Like, there'll be a lot of people there who've not heard us because we're still like tiny. No one's heard us. We've got loads of publicity, but no one's heard us on the grand scheme of things. We're not Lamb of God, so
of course, yeah, and I mean, the album hasn't
yeah.
even been out for a year yet, but I mean, I think it's a
Yeah,
testament
it's been
to,
out for like, it'll be about a year when we get on tour, so it's pretty well timed, I think.
yeah, but I
We're
also,
debating playing the album in full in London, but I don't know if I have the stamina to do that.
just practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, Katie, I think that's a testament to just how much this music has had on impact of people and everything like that. Given in the circles that we run in, just people loving the album and sharing it and stuff like that. So I love the fact that you're on a tour with a band like Rolo to be able to get that profile like even more wider reach. Because like that's the thing is like we internet nerds, music nerds can share our things and all that other stuff all day long, right? But if people aren't going out to the concerts and seeing that, then that's where the people are going to get the reach and get exposed to everything like that. So I'm fucking stoked that y'all are going to be able to do that.
Yeah, really, really hoping that people enjoy it live. Like we've always been told that like people are always like, oh, you're so tight live, or they're like, oh, they're always better live than recorded. But now we've got an album out, so maybe, hopefully, we're still better live than recorded.
Yeah, it's funny the way that you said like people couldn't hear the songs unless we came live or unless they came live, and now the exact opposite, right? Like only they could hear it on the record and no idea what you guys are going to sound like live. So just a wild thing of just
Yeah,
releasing an album in this year.
yeah. It was a weird time, but I think it's better. I guess it's better than if it came out like the year before. Like the album was done. The album was finished, like mastered in May the previous year, and it came out in March this year. So if it came out the previous year, it might have been like a longer wait, and we would have been forgotten, lost in the winds of the internet. But hopefully, it's still relevant enough. It's like it's only a year old. Like we'll be playing some festivals with it. We can still get a tour cycle out of the album before you go on to new stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely, and best of luck with that going forward. So, Katie, I think we're running up on time. The last question I usually like to ask artists and musicians that have released albums recently is just, what do you want people to take away from their spins of Mirrors?
I don't know. It's a hard question. What do I want people to take away? Uh, I don't know. When I hear a nasty riff that goes hard, it makes me smile. So I hope people hear the nasty riffs, think they go hard, and smile.
Fuck yeah, let's end it there. That is perfect. That is so perfect. Katie, thank you so much for joining us on Knotfest Daily today. Everybody, Pupil Slicer's album Mirrors is out now via Prosthetic Records. Go pick it up. It is well worth your time. And hey, if you're in the UK or in Europe somewhere, go get tickets to go see Pupil Slicer supporting Rolo Tomassi all over Europe. It's going to be a hell of a time. Katie, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're absolutely welcome.